Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome to the Manosaurus Tournament Review. We're back to standard here with the top 8s from Grand Prix Buenos Aires and the Star City Open in Seattle. There are a lot of familiar faces in the top 8s here as we've gotten used to. Don't be dismayed though, we also got to see some new decks in action, particularly in the Star City Open. We'll keep the description short for the decks we've seen before so we can focus on the roads less traveled. Jund Monsters, played by Philippe Monlevade, won the Grand Prix. This take on the deck, in addition to Reaper the Wilds, also played with a couple Dreadbore and Vraska the Unseen, cards we're not used to seeing in the deck. But other than that, the deck looks like the green-red monsters variations we've come to know. Blue Devotion is still kicking, though this time mono-blue variants only appeared in the Grand Prix. Damien Tejo took 2nd with the deck, and other variations took 4th and 6th. While most builds lately have been leaning away from Jace Architect of Thought, we did see Tejo's build use the Planeswalker. Another deck ran Prognostic Sphinx as a one-of, though other than that it was business as usual for Blue Devotion. We also got to see one white-blue Devotion variant take 8th in the SCG Open. White lets the deck add Ifara God of the Polis and Attention Sphere to its already powerful build. One of the new decks we got to see in action was Red-White Burn, which Neil Hartman played to win the SCG Open. Ash Zealot, Boros Reckoner, and Chandra's Phoenix, and a pair of Stormbreath Dragon make up the moderate creature base. Chandra Pyromaster also sees use as a 2-of, no doubt owing to her solid card advantage function. The main attraction though is the spell package. As the name implies, burn spells are in heavy use. The only non-burn spell in the deck was Chain to the Rocks, which was a 3-of in the main deck with a 4th on the sideboard. Boros Charm, Lightning Strike, and Magma Jet are the core of the burn package. While Boros Charm is mainly there for its 4 damage burn mode, one imagines there are situations where Double Strike might come in handy. Warleader's Helix was a 2-of, which is a nice way to burn out larger targets while also providing a bit of life gain. The last spell in the deck is Searing Blood, a card we're pretty excited to see finally hit the standard competitive scene. In a world where most decks run at least some small creatures, Searing Blood takes out a creature and also gets some sneaky damage in on the other player. Second place in the SCG Open went to Harrison Heights Black-White Midrange. While he opted out of adding Brimaz to the deck, as some Black-White builds have done, the deck otherwise looked like what you'd expect. Blood Baron and Elspeth Sun's Champion complement an otherwise Black Devotion-like build to crash in with its huge creatures while disposing of yours. A very similar deck, calling itself Black-White Devotion, took 3rd place in the Open. It was nearly identical to the aforementioned midrange deck, save for the use of Obsidian Ghost Council and Read the Bones. And naturally, Black Devotion was heavily represented as well, taking 5th and 7th in both events. While the GP decks and one of the decks in the Open were very traditional, the 5th place deck in the Open was not. It ran a more aggressive angle, stepping the creatures up to 20. Desecration Demon got benched in favor of 4 Herald of Torment and 3 Painseer. The deck also ran Lifebane Zombie in the main deck, part of a growing trend among Black Devotion players. In 4th place in the GP, we saw Esper Control in action. This build ran a full set of 12 temples alongside a smaller array of shocklands. Other than that, it was a typical Esper Control deck. Jace, Elspeth, Supreme Verdict, Sphinx's Revelation, the gang's all here. Wrapping up the GP, we got to see something different in 8th, a black-red control deck. The best way to describe this deck is the more powerful pieces of black mid-range strategies combined with fire. Lots of fire. The creature base was only 10 creatures, playsets of Desecration Demon and Lifebane Zombie alongside 2 Stormbreath Dragon. That said, 10 is quite a lot for control. Typical removal like Hero's Downfall and Bioblight played alongside the likes of Dreadbore, Anger of the Gods, and Mizzium Mortars. Rakdos' Return was an easy 2-of alongside a playset of Thoughtseize for lots of strong discard effects. Read the Bones provided some card advantage as well as a pair of Chandra Pyromaster. Whip of Erebos, Ratchet Bomb, and Rakdos Key Rune round out the list as 1 and 2-ofs filling very niche roles. We haven't seen anything quite like this before, but the unfamiliar is certainly welcome in Standard right now. Representing the black-white color combination in a slightly different way than we're used to, black-white humans resurfaced to take 4th in the Star City Open. While we have seen this deck before, it's been a while. This take on the deck used black more heavily in its creature base, adding Painseer and Tormented Hero in addition to Zathrid Necromancer. We also saw Thoughtseize in action as a main deck 4-of alongside Orzhov Charm, Ultimate Price, Banisher Priest, and various other tricks. Imposing Sovereign also makes it difficult for opponents to take the aggressive angle. And Spear of Heliod, being really the only reasonable Anthem effect in Standard right now, is a natural fit for a deck that at its core is White Weenie. And rounding out the SCG top 8, 6th place went to Mono Black Aggro, something we hadn't seen yet in the current Standard. Lifebane Zombie and Pack Rat are certainly familiar enough from Black Devotion. However, we're more used to seeing Rakdos Cackler in Mono Red than here. A couple Mogus's Marauder provide an interesting way to get in for damage even against unlikely board states. Painseer is a natural fit, if only as a 3-of for a deck that drops black creatures and turns them sideways. And in case you forgot, black is all about Torment, with Tormented Hero and a Herald of Torment featuring as 4-ofs. Most of the spell package is removal, with Bioblight, Hero's Downfall, and even an ultimate price sneaking in. What isn't removal is Thoughtseize, a playset provides the deck with answers to threats it wouldn't otherwise be able to handle. And that about wraps up our look at Standard top 8s for this week. While things are still pretty stagnant, it's nice to see some new strategies taking risk and winning events. We'll be back here next week with more Standard results from SCG Los Angeles and GP Cincinnati. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.